Our next speaker will be Maria Loya. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Have to catch my breath. I was running up the stairs. I'm here speaking on behalf of the Pico Neighborhood Association, and we sent you a letter last week, and the letter was to thank you for your unanimous decision in supporting the Pico Neighborhood Zoning District. We feel that by creating the Pico Neighborhood Zoning District, it takes some concrete steps in protecting the diversity of the city. In the oldest neighborhood that has the highest concentration of people of color and low-income people, one of the things that we'd like to ask is that you prioritize the creation of the Pico Neighborhood Zoning District before all other specific plans that are being considered, such as the downtown plan and the memorial plan. Those two plans have a direct impact on the Pico neighborhood. And so the intent of the Pico Neighborhood Zoning District is to protect the residents from the displacement that is expected as a result of the light rail. And so in order to stay true to the goal of the Pico Neighborhood Zoning District, we would like to ask you that you prioritize the creation of the zoning district and institute some protections. And part of that is also, there's obviously an impact on the light rail. And so we would like to ask that we understand that it's going to take some time, but we need to have some interim protections. And part of that is a direct link to the light rail that's coming in. The Pico neighborhood is also a place where the transit district is also part of that. So,
we have a question for you from Mayor Pro Tem
prioritize.
Vasquez.
I'll let you catch your breath.
Yes.
I know we've had several conversations about, obviously, this protection.
Yes.
And I think there's the will of the council to move forward and give that direction. Obviously, we couldn't incorporate it into this zoning now, or the action we're going to take tonight.
Yes.
But I had a question for you in terms of the housing mix, or the unit mix. And I know we've had some conversations, and I've been at some of your meetings where I keep hearing the demand for 3 bedrooms, but then when I'm hearing some of these hearings, people are saying that there is no demand for 3-bedroom units in the Pico, or actually, they're saying the city as a whole, but I know you're concentrating more on the Pico neighborhood.
Well, our main concern in terms of affordable housing is the creation of real affordable housing in the area of low and very low and extremely low. We feel that the housing stock for low, very low, and extremely low is lacking. In fact, there's a lot of folks that are being pushed out of their apartments that cannot afford to find other apartments in Santa Monica. So if we're talking about the creation of affordable housing, we would like there to be a prioritization of very low and extremely low income. We feel that moderate income is not going to help ease the displacement of the residents that we feel is going to increase as a result of the light rail.
But what about the unit mix?
Well, we need 3 bedrooms, no doubt, but 3 bedrooms that are at very low and extremely low income.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Oscar De La Torre. If you would come forward, please. And Ms. Loya, I'm sorry we caught you downstairs and made you speak while out of breath. If anybody else is downstairs, there are seats up here now, so there's really no reason to sit downstairs. You can come up into the council chamber, and that way you won't have to rush upstairs. After Mr. De La Torre, we will hear from Gina DeBaca, Stacy Dalglish, Chris McLeod, and Armin Melkonian. So if they would prepare to speak while we're hearing from Oscar De La Torre.
Great. Mayor, good evening. And council members, thank you very much for all your sacrifice and all the for your public service. I mean, we understand that there's a lot, hard decisions to be made, and I'm here today as the co-chair of the Pico Neighborhood Association. Maria spoke eloquently about the major issues, but we want to definitely ask that you direct staff to prioritize the Pico Neighborhood Zoning District. I think that'll give us an opportunity to really deal with some of the one of the communities that I think is most vulnerable to rapid gentrification, and what we perceive and what we can see is the displacement of a lot of our city's most diverse residents, both ethnic and also economic diversity that we want to sustain in the city. So it'd be very important to work on that. We know that there was an interim zoning ordinance to deal with the issue of lot consolidation. We think that needs to be, something that we prioritize, because we understand that there is an incentive, for people to bring lots together and get rid of the courtyards. And on 21st and Virginia, there's a project there that probably will go forward because there's the legal, the law allows for the owners to move forward. For what we heard from city staff on that, and we're concerned that will continue if we don't make sure that those protections are codified. So that's, I think, we talked about, Maria talked about what we want to see happen, and we hope that we can go ahead and move forward with that. So I won't take up more of your time. So thank you very much, and appreciate your work. Thanks.
Thank you. Next is Gina Tabaka. And if our other speakers could move closer to the front of the room so that they're ready to speak, we'd appreciate that. Ms. Tabaka,
Hi,
good evening.
Gina Tabaka, co-chair of Pico Neighborhood Association. So I'm here representing the Pico Neighborhood Association and obviously our community, the Pico Neighborhood. I'm here to support the Pico Zoning District, as I'm deeply concerned of the rapid gentrification in the community. I know I've spoke to you before about that. I've seen it with my own eyes happening right there on my own street, on Kansas Avenue, on Stewart, right there in that specific area. There's been several families that have been there over 30, 40 years. They're being pushed out. They're being harassed, evicted, what have you. So the gentrification is happening. It's right in front of our eyes. Also, we ask that you prioritize the creation of the Pico Neighborhood Zoning District above all other specific plans. We're also asking that you include, Mid-City as well. All of this, all the different neighborhood, all of those affect the Pico neighborhood. We all affect one another. So to make sure that you're prioritizing this as well. Thank you. Is there any questions?
Seeing none, we'll move on to Stacey
Thank you.
Dalglish. Thank you. Chris McLeod, you're next.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Chris McLeod, Pico Neighborhood Association board member and a resident of Santa Monica. The loose is not what you promised the people. It's too big. It favors development. I do, however, agree with the Pico Neighborhood overlay, which can very easily be electronically attached to this document, the loose. All the loose plans show exactly what is within the Pico Neighborhood area. So you could very easily attach it and begin the stages of creating the Pico Neighborhood Overlay. The Pico Neighborhood Overlay would protect the people in the Pico neighborhood, because the loose doesn't. The loose targets many different areas. And the loose, the way it's written, can be used in the future to harm all communities within Santa Monica. Okay, no to the loose. Please change it. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Armin Melkonian,